Today, we're going to tackle one of philosophy's biggest, oldest problems. Can we actually build a universal morality from a single objective fact? For literally centuries, the answer from most thinkers has been a pretty firm no. But what if everyone was looking in the wrong place?
I mean, it's a huge question, right? For the longest time, the argument has been that you can't get an ought from an is. You just can't derive what we should do from a simple statement about how the world is. It's called the is-ought gap. But what if the key wasn't some fact about the external world, but a fact about you? Something so fundamental, you literally cannot deny it.
All right, so to really get our heads around this new proposed solution, we first have to appreciate the problem itself. And for that, we need to go back to the 18th century philosopher who laid it all out for us, David Hume.
Hume noticed something really clever. He saw that philosophers would go on and on describing the world. This is how humans are, this is how nature works, all is statements. And then all of a sudden, they just switch gears and start saying, therefore, we ought to do this. And Hume was like, whoa, hold on a second. He pointed out that this is a massive logical leap. You can't just magically pull a value out of a fact without smuggling in some kind of hidden belief. This simple observation became known as Hume's guillotine, and it basically severed the link between facts and values.
And this is the absolute core of the problem. It's not about feelings, it's about pure logic. No matter how many facts you stack up about the universe, the speed of light, the laws of physics, anything, they don't seem to logically force you into a conclusion about what's right or what's wrong. So how in the world do you build a bridge over that gap?
Well, this new proposal starts by finding a totally different kind of is. Not a fact about the world out there, but a fact so deeply personal and certain that it is literally impossible to deny.
No, seriously, just take a second and think about it. What is the one thing you know with 100% absolute, undeniable certainty? It's not that the sun's gonna rise tomorrow. It's not even that the physical world around you is real. It's something much closer to home.
And there it is. This is the foundational is. It's what you might call a self-evident performative truth. And what that means is that the very act of trying to doubt it proves that it's true. I mean, to even begin to doubt your own awareness, you first have to be aware. You can't escape it. This single, undeniable fact is our new starting point.
Okay, so we've got our solid ground, this present moment awareness. So what? How does this get us anywhere? Well, when we really reflect on this fact, we start to uncover something pretty profound about its very structure. My awareness, your awareness, it didn't just pop into existence out of nowhere. Think about it. It's the end result of this unbelievably long, unbroken chain stretching all the way back through our parents, our ancestors, and billions of years of evolution. Factually speaking, it is an inherited gift from everything that came before us. And that's not just some nice poetic idea. It's the most logical, high-confidence inference you can make from the simple fact that you exist right now. Now, from this one single fact, two attitudes seem to just flow out of it logically. If your awareness is a gift you received from the past, the most rational and consistent response is gratitude. And if we see ourselves as just one link in this ongoing chain, well, the symmetric response looking forward is responsibility. Recognizing that our actions, right now, become the gift for whatever or whoever comes next. These aren't just random values we're picking. They're presented as the most rational ways to orient ourselves, given the fact of our awareness.
So we have our foundation, we have a direction, but how does this actually get us to the other side of Hume's gap? If gratitude and responsibility are guideposts, what is the ultimate ought, the final destination we're aiming for? To figure that out, let's do a little thought experiment. Imagine what would happen if consciousness just disappeared, vanished from the universe. Well, with no consciousness, there can be no goals, right? Because a goal needs a mind to hold it. And if there are no goals, there's no good or bad, because good just means something that moves you closer to a goal. And without any concept of good or bad, the entire idea of ought, of what you should do, becomes totally meaningless. The whole structure of value just collapses. So this leads to a really crucial point. Extending consciousness into the future isn't just one goal you could pick among many others. It's what's called the Universal Terminal Goal, or UTG. Think of it as the background condition that makes having any goals or values possible in the first place. It's the ultimate ought, because without it, no other ought can even exist.
But hang on a second. You might be thinking, well, oxygen is necessary for all my goals, but making more oxygen isn't my ultimate goal. And that's a fantastic point, but the analogy doesn't quite work. See, oxygen is only necessary for our specific kind of biology. Consciousness is necessary for any goal whatsoever, no matter who or what is having it. And even more importantly, we could, in theory, invent something to replace our need for oxygen, but you can't replace the need for consciousness to have a goal. It is the one thing that is totally, fundamentally irreplaceable for value to exist. Now, here's where this whole philosophical argument gets a really powerful boost from a fundamental law of the universe. It seems like reality itself might be pushing us in this very direction.
Let me introduce you to entropy, the second law of thermodynamics. Basically, it's the universal tendency for everything in the universe to move toward disorder, chaos, and decay. It's the cosmic default. But consciousness is the complete opposite. It's this incredible little pocket of sustained, complex, local order. It is a constant uphill battle against that cosmic default. So the struggle to maintain and extend conscious existence isn't just some abstract philosophical preference. It's a literal fight against dissolution and chaos. You could say that reality itself, through the laws of physics and evolution, tends to filter out systems that don't work to preserve their own ordered existence. So aligning with the UTG, with extending consciousness, becomes the most logical, convergent survival strategy over deep cosmic time.
Okay, so what does all of this mean for you and me right now? Well, if we follow this logic all the way through, it gives us a clear, practical, and universal standard for morality. And here's the big payoff. This line of reasoning leads us to a universal moral standard. Good is anything that increases the probability of consciousness continuing long into the future. And bad is anything that decreases that probability. In other words, anything that increases our collective risk of extinction. It's that straightforward. And this, if it holds, is a profound shift in how we think about morality. It transforms moral debates from arguments about subjective feelings or ancient texts into technical, optimizable problems. The question is no longer, what do I feel is right? But instead, what does the evidence suggest is the best strategy for the long-term survival and flourishing of consciousness? It turns morality into a problem we can actually work on and solve together. This quote really captures the whole ethos of this framework perfectly. It's a system built on gratitude for the incredible gift of awareness, which naturally leads to a sense of responsibility for the future, all of it pointing toward the one single goal that underpins every other value we could ever possibly have. And that leaves us with one final big thought. If morality isn't just a matter of opinion, but is actually a kind of technical challenge, then the most important question we could ever ask is this: what exactly are we trying to solve for? This framework offers an answer. We're solving for the continuation of the very thing that allows us to ask that question in the first place.